Alright, what's up everyone? To another video, full speed unpause, and you already know the deal by the title. Today we are doing a BBR swing arm on our boys CRF110. It's time to make this bike just a little bit bigger, and the swing arm is definitely the way to go and do that. So we also got some dampening rods for the front forks, which is also extended another inch. And this bike should be looking pretty crisp. I love the BBR swing arms. Not only are they just freaking awesome because they're made in USA, but they also extend your bike 1 3/4 inches out, and also giving you the option to put the spacer in to actually raise the height of your bike also. So we got our boys 2021 CRF110. Wheels are already off, had some fresh rubber put on. This bike is ready to get this swing arm installed. Make sure you buy a new chain, which will be 126 link. And if you're wondering about the dampening rods, those are also by BBR, and they're $100. So you have the option of, if you want to upgrade all the way to the TB forks, which is going to cost you, I think, about $260-ish, which isn't a horrible price. But because our boy's still a light rider, we want to just do the dampening rods, which they do recommend to go with the heavy springs, but we didn't want to go that route. So we're still going to run the stock springs that hopefully work with these dampening rods. And then we're going to run a 10 weight still, just because he's still under 100 pounds. Here's the BBR swing arm, looking super fresh. I mean, this thing is ready to install. So we have our bag of parts. We got our swing arm. For some reason, it sounds like it's got a whole bag of sand in there. Pretty much the install is here, guys, is we're done with this chain. We're going to need a new chain, which we got. We're going to undo your shock right here. So we're going to undo this bolt, pull that bolt out, leave our shock hooked up there because we don't need to take that off. And then we're going to start undoing our side bolts here. And we won't need to take any of this off because we won't be reusing any of this. This here, you will have to undo because you're going to have to modify this to make it longer. So you will be taking this off here. So you might as well undo all that, slide that off. You do not have to detach it, I don't think. We'll see when you're pulling your swing arm off if we can maneuver it or not. Other than that, pretty standard stuff here, guys. This is going to be, hopefully, a pretty easy install. Guys, so I lied. You do got to take this off because you got to get to your nut back there. Holy smolies. Yeah. Got to take your screws off. Got 3 8 mils here, and then you have 2 10 mil right here. Now, we're going to start taking off our rear shock here on the bottom, and then probably, I think we got to split our chain. So I usually just use a cutting wheel, but you could find the link. You could also do it that way too. All right, so like I told you, shock's unhooked. Took this off here. This was 14 mil, I believe. This was 17 mil nut on this side. This was 14 mil on this side. This was pretty tight. We actually used our impact to take this off. Forget about it. Pull this off here. And yeah, she's off. And I don't think we have to keep anything here. All right, guys. So there's your stock one. There's BBR one. This thing looks way beefier than that guy. And here is your +1. You do have the option, if you don't want this bike to be raised, to go with the standard, but we want it to. So we're going to take this big old bolt here, put it through the backside, threads right in here, put a little Loctite on there. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. So this is your OEM brake rod right here, and what they want you to do is you're going to cut it, leaving only about 3/4 of threads here, because what they have is actually a extension right here that's going to go on here. And they recommend using some type of fine tooth hacksaw blade, something like that. So see how it's going to extend it up, because like I said, your swing arm is extended. So you can take this, put it in a vise, or you can just kind of grip it and rip it, you know what I mean? But pretty much just like this. I think this blade's a little dull.
One eternity later.
Alright, guys, and don't worry if you're a little butched up there on the ends. It's still going to be alright. She still threads on, like, no problem. What I would do, though, is I put a little Loctite on there. some of that pink stuff they gave you, whatever that is. Super duper Loctite. But yeah, she'll thread right on there. I'm just talking and I can't do two things at once. So, nice thing is with this BBR swing arm, you get all fresh new hardware. We got our swing arm bolt right here. Pretty simple stuff. Make sure you put this through the swing arm, just like your previous one was routed. And then all you do, put that sucker through just like that. Ah! Don't be losing your dang bushing here, or whatever you want to call it. Then you get your nut. And we already have our shock bolt here handy. So we're just gonna get that going right now. There she blows. Alright. Alright, so now that you got this all set up here, what you're gonna want to do is put some grease on your axle bolt here now. Just like that. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We already ran some fine steel wool through our wheel drum here, and then also on the shoes, and then hit with a little brake clean, just to keep her right. And it's important too when you're doing this stuff, make sure you clean the dirt out of your crevices here. It's gonna help dirt not getting in pretty much. All right. What's so nice about going to the swing arm too is that you ditch the old school way to tighten the chain. Go to a bigger bike style, just being slides like this. Just like this stuff. That way, you don't break one off when you're in the woods. And that's a no bueno situation. Make sure you put your spring on first. Just like that. And then push this back. Slide that in. And then you have your tensioning nut here. Just like that. And we will get that adjusted when everything's tightened up. Alright, we're going to tighten our shock bolt now. Now that everything's pretty much mocked up, the only thing left we really have is to get the chain installed here. And then we also have our chain guide, which they actually supply you with one, which is pretty sweet. Next step will be tightening this guy here, which actually we are going to look up torque specs on that. Alright guys, so I looked up the torque specs. Your swing arm bolt that goes through the front there, that sucker right there is at 44 foot-pounds of torque. And then your rear swing arm bolt, as far as your axle bolt, that one is at 47 foot-pounds. And then you have your upper and lower shock bolts that are at 37 foot-pounds, which is getting it, guy. Like, so as long as you're not like got some big 3-foot cheater pipe on this, you're gonna be fine. But those are the torque specs if you want to torque it. You're just gonna need the right torque wrench to do that. Our inch-pound torque wrench will not quite meet those specifications they're converting, and then our foot-pound torque wrench will be kind of undervalued just because our torque wrench is the old dial system and not a click or even a digital, which we know we need to upgrade. But either way, you're just using an old standard 3/8 wrench and you're just tightening these things up, you'll be fine. Especially as long as you got a locking nut washer or a little Loctite on that bolt, you'll be good. So on to the next step. They already had, let's just call it the 6mm silver one, already mounted up. So all we gotta do is undo the bolts, and then you just kind of stick it right in there like that. They're up, 12mm. Easy peasy, lemon squeeze. A little Loctite, never hurt anybody. Our gold chain all hooked up next, and then we'll be able to adjust it, and then tighten down our axle nut here, and then that's gonna be almost concluding this video, guys. We got that BBR swing arm all buttoned up, and we had to take a little pause because we wanted to get the front end dialed for you guys. Those BBR dampening rods, which we made a separate video on, but she is looking super crisp. I mean, she sits perfect. Great way to complement the bike and all that with the dampening rods if you're gonna go with the BBR swing arm on the rear. She just sits perfect, and I always felt like the back wheel always looked a little cramped on the bike with the fender sticking way out. Now it just looks so right, so good. And those dampening rods in the front definitely stiffened up the front end a little bit. We still left the stock springs, went with the 10-weight fluid because our boy is still under 100 pounds. Rear, I would like to see what options they have for springs that don't involve them having to be a 180-pound rider or plus. But that's about it for today's video, guys. I appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you hit that like, subscribe. Got plenty more builds coming, and you guys know the deal. Until next time, we'll see you later.